Hi, my name's Big Bear Mark and welcome to the Bear Cave. Today in the Bear Cave I have with me James Houghton. Hey James, how you going?
How you doing?
And also Steve Charles.
Hi Mark.
Hey Steve. Today we're going to be talking about a subject which is a bit controversial. We're going to be talking about PreP or pre-exposure prophylactic.
All right.
Now, James, you're a medical professional.
Kind of, mental health nurse.
Mental health nurse. How do you see PreP in Australia at the moment?
In a really funny space. I mean, it's controversial, as you said at the beginning, and it's got a lot of people talking about it. Some in a good way, some in a not so good way. As we know, it's a prophylactic. It's something that we take before to prevent something, and it's got people's really thinking about what's it for, why we're using it.
Yeah, and one of the things, I mean, obviously it's an antiviral or two antiviral drugs.
Yep.
That people are taking before, well, hopefully before they are exposed to HIV.
Yeah.
And in America, where it's more widely available, there's this, because the brand name is Truvada.
Yep.
And there's this whole thing around Truvada whores where they've taken, but they've actually owned it and said, like, well, yes, we like sex, and yes, we're having sex without condoms.
Yep.
But I mean, healthcare professionals in Australia are saying we should be using it with condoms.
Yeah, I think the message has always been that we've got to add. It's taking as many precautions as we possibly can to prevent the spread of the disease, and the debate, I guess, the irony of it all is that people are saying it promotes promiscuous behaviour, that people are having bareback sex and not worrying about the consequences. My personal take on that is that that's not true. I see it as something that's very responsible, and it's about actually people taking more care rather than less care of themselves. And if we think about medicine, what does medicine do? It helps prevent diseases. And that's, as a health professional, that's what we should be about. We're about making sure that fewer people get the virus.
Steve, in the bear community, do you think that we have an issue with safe sex?
I don't think we have an issue with safe sex. I just think it's whether you consider yourself promiscuous or not. I think that because there's a lot of single guys in the bear community, and of course you're swapping partners. You go to dance clubs, dance parties, and there are clubs and all those sort of things. So you tend to you've got to have multiple partners regardless. So and I'm not saying that makes you promiscuous. It's just the way things are. I think that the attitude towards it is fairly healthy. Although I was reading up on the statistics, the rate of HIV is on the rise in Australia, 5.7%, and Victoria is leading that. Now I don't know how that translates to the bear community, but I think that you still have to, as having lived through the 80s, I think you really just have to take everything that you can possibly get to add to your own protection. I think perhaps a good step towards doing that, but it's still like we're still going through the trials. We still haven't finished a year's trial in Australia. So I think that when that comes out and all of the facts are known for our own community, then hook right into it.
I think the stats tell us that the behaviour is happening. It's not actually the before Truvada and before PreP ever existed, the stats were already on the rise, which tells you that things are, the condom message is, it's somehow losing its oomph, and it's not what it was.
I mean, we were all around for the Grim Reaper campaigns.
Yeah.
We were there. The current generation don't remember that sort of grim exposure that was on TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the message is getting a bit lost these days.
Yeah.
And with the rise of PreP, I mean, you can get PreP. You have to have a prescription, but you can get it from overseas sources.
And lots of people are.
And lots of people are. So it is on the rise. So do we feel like that in the bear community that people will be taking advantage of PreP and maybe not using condoms?
I don't know about you guys, but I think that it kind of generalises across the bear community. Obviously, we've got our likes and our lustings, but it's across the whole spectrum of gay men. I don't think bears have a kind of an ownership or
Yes.
monopoly on lusty, leery behaviour. Although if you go to some of the places, I mean, my personal take is I think it's across the whole spectrum. And the interesting thing about the Grim Reaper campaign, I wasn't in Australia at the time, but there's a mixed kind of reaction to it. A lot of people are saying it frightened people, it actually put people off getting treatment, getting tested, and then reporting. It put a lot of people on the back foot.
But going through that time, it was a very scary time.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel as kind of we're a little bit overboard, but having lost 2 partners myself through HIV and associated things, it's just a very scary time. And as you know, Mark, going through that period as well, that message has been lost, just how many people actually suddenly found out they had it and how many people it actually did sort of knock off in a very short period of time. Yeah. So I think when it comes to things like PreP, great. Use it, use any precaution that you possibly can, but I still think the condom message still needs to be out there.
Yeah. Do you think Australia's acting fast enough to get PreP into Australia? Because
no.
I mean, it's not on the PBS. It's just, it's taking its time.
Yeah.
Should we be pushing governments to have it now?
I think we should, and I know we are. I mean, there's a big push to try and get the government to put it on the PBS, which means that people can get it either free or a lot cheaper. I think the reality is that it's a preventative measure that we really need to. It's not promoting loose sex. It's not promoting bad behaviour. That behaviour is already happening.
Yes.
And the take-home message is we need to be doing whatever we can. There are no right or wrong moves in anything that we can do to prevent the spread of the disease. It's got to be a good thing.
The only other thing that I don't like about it too is that one of the drugs has an 11% propensity to depression. So if you already suffer that, it could be a trigger for that as well. So you just have to be careful of the side effects.
Yeah.
And of course, with any of this, you've got to do this in consultation with your doctor.
Definitely.
And make sure that everything is safe, and you basically follow through with your doctor and make sure things are going well.
Yeah. Yes. And it's not either or. It's not PreP or condoms. It's PreP and condoms when possible.
Yes.
We have to remember that some people, and there are lots of perfectly normal, healthy people who cannot have sex with condoms. That's not, it's not about shaming people who can't use condoms. It's about encouraging everybody that can to use them, and those that can't, this is a backup and adjunct kind of treatment.
As well as PEP.
As well as PEP.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a good
three-armed approach, three-pronged approach.
And I think at the end of the day, anything to prevent the spread of HIV is going to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, we've got to wrap it up, guys. Okay. Thank you very much for being with us on the Bear Cave today. We'll see you next time.